Hey, how's it going, friends? GhostAttacks here, coming with my first ever deck profile on this channel and actually for Digimon in general. And this is actually going to be a very fun deck, to say the least. I thoroughly do enjoy this deck compared to some other people. I've made this deck just for fun. I will be showing more deck profiles when it comes to more competitive aspect, but for right now, I wanted the first deck profile to be enjoyable, and it can actually get you some couple wins when it comes to local wises. Nothing that has to do with big Bandai tournaments, but overall, just still a really fun deck overall. And the deck that I'm going to be talking about today is MegaZoo. MegaZoo's been a very enjoyable deck, to say the least, for this game. to honestly say the least, but this deck has been working out pretty well, honestly. I think the fact that Ragna Lordmon, still having problems pronouncing the name, Ragna Lordmon is such a good interaction. It's a new level 7 that gives you life into the game, honestly, when it comes to MegaZoo. It did a lot of justice, but overall, I think this deck, you can very much enjoy it. Let's just get into it, shall we? So starting off, actually, for our egg of choice or color of choice, we're going to be starting off with our level 2 yellow egg. I think the fact that we're going to be constantly at 3 or less very quickly, just because of the fact that it is MegaZoo, we're giving our opponent a lot of memory to work with. So they're going to be swinging into our face pretty easily into our memory stack. So the fact that this actually gives us some interaction when it comes to drawing, which MegaZoo usually has a problem with, it gives you something to actually go in line with. And then actually continuing off with the actual eggs itself, we are actually going with our only level 3 that we're playing in the deck. We're playing 4 of the actual new set 1.5 Salamon. This card is really good. It actually goes very well with the egg itself, just strictly because the fact that if you're at 3 or less, you get the swing in draw, and if it dies, you get an actual memory as well. So it is really nice to have a nice little recovery combination with this deck, just strictly due to the fact that we will be dying pretty quickly if we don't do something about it. So giving something when it comes to leeway is pretty nice. And that's it for our level 3s. We're actually going to be going straight to our level 5 since we played no level 4s, obviously, because this is MegaZoo. We're actually playing 4 Groundmon. I found it very necessary to play some kind of level 5 in this, since this is our cheapest level 5, our cheapest level 5 with a 5/2 cost. I think it's pretty nice. Hopefully we do get another 5/2 cost, or maybe hopefully a 4/2 cost, but that'd be asking too much for red, honestly. But that's it. And then we're also playing 2 Skullgreymon as well. It's okay. I just tend to summon and play him without actually resolving the effect. I just want the fact that I want a level 5 on board. Just to start get the game going is pretty nice, but I think you can honestly cut these and just play the 4 and just play more megas if you want. So there is that, and that's it for our level 5s. Now to the meat of the deck, the reason why we play MegaZoo. So starting off, we're playing for our level 6s, we are playing 2 Phoenixmon and 2 High Andromon. The only reason why we're playing a 2/2 split is because I didn't get time to buy another structure deck when it comes to red, with the red starter deck. So we're playing what we have at the current moment. So we're playing a 2/2 split. I think it's really nice, honestly. Overall, I think also it gives you a nice little variancy. Maybe you want to play Millenniumon and you can play this card. So that's something you can keep in mind as well. Next for our other level 6, the main reason why we actually do play this, we're playing the new Durandamon and the new Raludramon. Since they are both 10 cost, that is extremely important when it comes to MegaZooing, since we want to give them as least memory as possible while also continuing the game. And you can actually start these off like normal. These are basically your vanillas until you get can't think of his name right now, Ragna Lordmon, I'm sorry, onto your hand. And if you actually play him first turn, you don't really know if you're going to have it right off the bat. And if you do have it right off the bat, you can really take advantage if you have a Durandamon and a Paraludramon with a Ragna Lordmon in your hand to equip one and then continue going with your game. You have a blocker reboot plus also something with piercing, so it is really strong. And the fact that it is a 12k and 12k is pretty relevant. Sometimes I do have to come and swing into my opponent with this card before playing the Ragna Lordmon. I have no idea why. It's just if I don't have the combination of Ragnar Lordmon plus an equipment, I just tend to swing before playing the Ragnar Lordmon. I think it's just very necessary to do so. So that is exactly the reason why we play those cards as well. Next, for the other level 6s, we are playing, of course, your MegaZoo. This is really good, and obviously it goes in very well in combination with your Salamon and with your other Egg Boy as well. Usually what I do is I usually keep these in the raising area until it is necessary for me to bring him up and swing, or if I have this also in combination as well in my hand, if I'm at a 2 or at a 3, it does really well. And it's also very nice to have Salamon actually live every now and then. It just gives you more attacks to work with, and if your opponent doesn't really want to kill this or swing into it, this is just always a free damage and always just a free draw no matter what. So this is something that I forgot to mention as well with this card as well. And to keep it in line, there's a time where you can just recover your whole stack when it comes to cards, just strictly due to the fact that you have the combination of both these cards. And sometimes if you have a Salamon in your hand with this card on field already, you can swing, play the Salamon in hand, and just continue your game as normal. I think it's very nice and nice little quirky interactions that you can continue with the game. I play also for the Volcanodramon. Honestly, I'm going to be cutting this down to 2 and replacing this with MegaZoo. MegaZoo is just so much better, honestly. I found it more necessary to have an unblockable with also free bounce as well, as sometimes Volcanodramon isn't really that necessary. I just found it nice to have it in my hand, but not a lot of people are really playing Rookie Rush anymore. Well, maybe depending if people saw the Bonded tournament and really like the Rookie Rush matchup, and by all means you can play more of these and just cut out the MegaZoo. But honestly, I think MegaZoo should be the way to go with this. It should be like more of a 2-2 split, or maybe a 3-1, anything that you find more necessary. But it is nice to have this. It is a security check +1. I have also played this on top of my Groundramons or my Skullgreymons. So it is something to keep in mind if you want to draw instead of having the actual explosion itself that it does. For the other level 6s that I do play as well, I think this is going to be the card that I can also replace as well for MegaZoo, which I think I will 100% be doing that. I'm going to be cutting these out completely. Blitzgreymon, it's alright. It's okay. It has Piercing and Digivolve, D-Digivolve for 1. It's okay. Oh, sorry, D-Digivolve for 2, I'm sorry, but for 1 Digimon specifically, so it's okay. It's not the worst, it's not the best either. You're always going to be pairing this up with this on board, but the majority of the time, if you have this in the stack itself, majority of the time this is going to be involved on top of with Bryludramon or with the Durandamon. Honestly, I've done that a lot more than you expected, so I think Blitzgreymon is just not a card to really look into for this deck. Honestly, you can play Puppetmons as well if you want to replace these, so keep that in mind as well. And then for our last level 6s, I think this is my new favorite Digimon of the format as well, just because it's so prevalent in this format. 2 Machinedramons, and honestly, I'm going to be playing more. This card is absolutely bonkers. I love this card. It's crazy. It is a blocker, which is very important for this deck. You need to get blockers in the middle of your game, as because of the fact that if you can't see your Salamons or your Magnadramons, this card is your next best thing to keep yourself in the game while continuing to reduce your opponent until you have basically nothing, and you can finally start swinging with your Megas. The other thing too is that he has D-Digivolve for 2 Digimon, which is extremely important, So these are really good overall, and honestly, I want to play a 3rd one, maybe even a 4th one if I find more room. But that is it for the level 6s. The level 7s, which are probably the most important thing of the deck. This is the reason why we actually play the deck as well. You want to turbo out into your new level 7, your Ragnar Lordmon. This card is absolutely crazy. It has a security check +1. It has a reboot, and it can turn it into a blocker through Bryludramon, and it can also get piercing through Durandamon. Absolutely ridiculous. This card is absolutely nuts. And the fact as well that you can also play him technically for free as long as you have Bryludramon or Durandamon in your hand to equip underneath to get a free draw and get the effect to basically gain back the 3 mana energy cost on this. It's absolutely crazy how this card works. I think this card gave a lot of momentum for MegaZoo, and I think honestly, if this deck has been built very correctly, can get you a lot of wins because of this card. So keep that in mind. This card is absolutely crazy. And actually, I'm going to be making more deck profiles on him as well that isn't actually MegaZoo. Next, we are playing the OG level 7. We are playing 4 Omnimon. I know it's a little ridiculous to play 4 Omnimon still. I just find it very necessary to still have some kind of contingency plan when it comes to destroying, especially if Volcanic Dramon doesn't really do the justice, or Machine Dramon if I really can't fight him in the situation. I think Omnimon is just such a better choice to find, just because it has a very much a spot removal. It can attack twice and can gain, it can become technically, become a piercer as well, which is extremely dumb. The fact that he can gain that. The fact that he can gain a piercing is crazy. Absolutely crazy. So this card is really good, I think. And the fact that obviously you can add back your Durandamon and continue to play if you have another Durandamon or a Barludramon on board. And then continue with the Ragnar Lordmon, play on top, get it for free. So this card gets you a lot when it comes in combination with the Ragnar Lordmon combination. Lastly, for the level 7s, we are only playing 2 of the Alter S's. I know I would actually be playing more. Probably be playing a 3rd one if I had it, but I don't. So we're playing with what we have at the current moment, but I think this is good overall for what the deck does. More DD evolution. That's the reason why we play this card. Card is absolutely crazy. I've actually done this in combination with Machine Dramon. They never got rid of it. They did evolve. They never had the combination of it. And then on top of that, next turn, I played this card and then just killed them with it. He does the same thing as Omnimon when it comes to bouncing back your level 6, but instead of doing 2 attacks, it can basically just say, oh, you can't block this card whatsoever. So he can basically get you the win for free. So it's always nice. Next, these are for my options and tamers, and honestly, this is where you can really change the deck, honestly. This is where another heart and the soul of the deck where you can really change it. I personally just like this number of what I play. So for the tamers, I'm actually playing 2 black tie. I think I find it very necessary to play him, just because of the fact that for one, you can make Ragnar Lordmon into a blocker, and you also play Machine Dramon as a blocker. You technically have 6 blockers in the deck. Very important. And the fact that we are going to be most likely playing a 3rd Machine Dramon. This card can become really nuts later in the game. And the fact that you actually want to start with at least 3 memory as quickly as possible. I don't think that you need more than him. I don't think you should be playing less than him, than this exact number, to be fair. I think 2 is the perfect number. Sometimes it is awful to see this in your hand, but the majority of the time you're going to be swinging with your Digimon before even playing your next card. I'm just going to be flat out honest with you, so that's what I just found it like that. And lastly, for the option cards, because of the fact that I only had the opportunity to get only 1 of the starter decks for red, I playing with what I have, honestly, and I honestly find this very good. This card is really good. Nuclear Laser, I just like to draw 2, honestly. We're not playing Zudamon, because I just never found it necessary. Plus a 2k boost can be interesting. It can get you into situations where you can basically win the game because of this card, and it can actually make your your Ragnar Lordmon beat over your opponent's Omnimon, which can be relevant. We are playing 2 Gaia Forces because, like I said, we only have the opportunity to own 2, and then our pseudo Gaia Force, which is 7 Heavens. And yeah, that is it, honestly, you guys. I found this deck very, very fun, very enjoyable. This deck can be very strong. I wouldn't say it is the most budget-friendly, just due to the fact that you are playing Omnimons, Alter S's. But if you're looking for somewhat of a cheaper option, you can always find a way to replace the Omnimons with probably Millenniumons. It's the best, next best thing, honestly. But yeah, hope you guys really did enjoy it. I will be coming with more content as well, with more obviously competitive decks. I just really wanted to show off what deck I've been taking to locals, just as more of a fun aspect. But yeah, hope you guys see you guys next time. Peace. Take it easy, guys.